All right, let's go ahead and go back to the overheads. We've obviously had a primary election here in Florida since our last show, Phil, and obviously, the U.S. Senate race is a pretty interesting thing in terms of having Kendrick Meek and Charlie Crist and Marco Rubio and, of course, our good friend Alex Nicker all in that race. We had a very contentious governor's race that maybe has resulted in some scorched earth for the Republican Party. The Tea Party, of course, continues to make news and be in the headlines. And I want to talk to Alex about whether or not he might find himself in some future debates and just the general news coverage of your campaign. So, kind of starting at the top with that, you're in an interesting dynamic with this race with there being 3 additional candidates other than yourself. For those of the people that were maybe watching Meet the Press, a couple weeks ago they saw your commercial on there, which there's actually supposed to be a scheduled debate.
Correct.
On that show that unfortunately was postponed for some reasons or whatever. How are you finding the media is treating you in terms of your campaign? I know there were some things on your website about a poll or something on a website that was not reporting your statistics and things along those lines. Are you finding some of the slighting that sometimes happens to Libertarian Party candidates is also happening in the news media with your campaign?
Yes, yes. I mean, it is a mixed bag. I mean, there are some places that have been receptive. I have to give credit where credit is due. The St. Petersburg Times has written articles. I mean, they don't write every day, and they still do call it a 3-way race, but they have given us some attention. Now, the poll that you're speaking about was actually a Bay News 9 internet poll. Now, as soon as we were at 13%, they actually changed the name from Alex Nicker to Other. They took the name off at that point, and we ended up getting 27%, and we're running second place, which I thought was pretty humorous. And when it comes to the debates, they do everything they can to ensure that we are not included in these debates, which is very unfortunate. However, we are able to utilize the tools that we have in order to fight back. With the NBC one, with the Meet the Press, we were able to do the commercial in the Tampa market, in Jacksonville, and in Fort Myers. We were also able to have protests in about 7 of the county affiliates or the local affiliates for NBC. And those went very well. They were covered by the local media that was there, so we were able to get some media attention with that. And it forced us to have to get a commercial out there right away, which was good. Now, the debate didn't happen, but at least the media now knows what we are willing to do. Like, there's going to be another debate this Friday at Univision. And again, they have not included us. They've made sure to exclude us in this debate. But it is just so happens that I will be at a WorldNet Daily event this same weekend, and it is across the street from Univision. So on Friday, when they tape this thing at about 1 o'clock, we will be there with all our volunteers and supporters that are coming down to the Miami area, and we are going to make sure that our voices are heard. We're going to attempt to go into the debate anyway. I'm sure they're going to not let us in, but we are going to make sure that we are upping our game one more level, because if you're going to exclude us, I mean, you're going to have to expect that we're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that we get in there, because that is the one way that we're able to show the differences between myself and the other candidates. And I think that they understand as well that it would be a game changer if they would allow me into a debate. And I think it's one of the reasons that they're fighting as hard as they are.
Absolutely. Obviously the Tea Party has gotten a lot of attention in the media, and certainly a lot of the stated principles of the Tea Party do align very well with libertarian principles. I know obviously they try to position themselves as a nonpartisan entity. How have you found your relations to be with the Tea Party activists across Florida?
Well, it's a very uncentralized movement, which is a good thing. So some of the groups that we go to are very receptive. They allow me a full opportunity to speak, and a lot of them don't endorse or support any candidate. They just let the people hear from all of the candidates. So some of them have been very good. Some of them have barred us access. South Pinellas 912 is a perfect example of this, where they will not allow me an opportunity to speak in front of their entire group. And they've admitted as much, that they are supporting and endorsing Marco Rubio, and that they are not going to allow me the opportunity to go in there. The reason I believe that is because they understand that when I walk in there, that I will actually garner support from a large segment of the people that belong to the organization. And I find that to be unfortunate. And a lot of them use the split the vote tactic as the reason as to why.
Yeah.
What they fail to understand is the places that have polled us. When it comes to people that voted for Obama, which you would not consider to be Tea Party people, I actually have a 27% favorable rating. With people that voted for McCain, I actually have an 8% favorable rating. So the worry that they have about splitting the vote, I think, is unjustified for 2 reasons. One, we're able to pull from the left. We're able to pull from moderates. The other one is that Crist is very much so targeting the Democrat vote. So the Democrat vote is already split up. So it's only going to take 30% of the vote in order for the candidate to win in a four-way race. Technically only 26%, but we think that 30% is going to be the way that it will go down. And most people are split between, well, anybody but Crist or anybody but Rubio. It's not that they're actually going for someone. So in this race, this is the one time that you should actually vote your principles. And moving forward, you should always vote your principles, but especially right now where you have an opportunity to actually strike a big blow in the political class that we have in this country right now.
Yeah, that is fantastic. It's kind of a perfect storm almost.
It is. I wish I had, I just happen to be the right guy at the right time in the right place is all it is.
That's fantastic. Let's go ahead quickly because we're actually winding down to the last 5 or so minutes of our show. It's amazing how time flies when you're having fun, but we do have an overhead. I just quickly want to get your comment on some of the issues and amendments that are going to be going on in terms of the November ballot. In terms of the hometown democracy, a couple of shows ago, Phil and I actually had a representative from both the pro and the con side on that, and we had a debate around that. I'm assuming as a libertarian that is not something that you would support, the hometown democracy amendment?
No, I'm against zoning laws in and of themselves. So whether you have the people do it or whether you have the elected officials do it, I think it doesn't solve the problem that we have when it comes to zoning laws in and of themselves. And I actually think that we live in a representative republic, not a democracy. And something like this, you're stopping the people that were supposed to be doing that job, even if you're allowing someone to do something like zoning laws. You really should just be replacing your elected representatives, not having the people vote on those things as well.
Yeah, excellent point. And we've got amendments 5, 6, and 7, which cover a lot of the same areas in terms of putting some limits on gerrymandering or trying to put some limits on gerrymandering. I don't know if you have an opinion on any of those issues or not.
Well, actually, 5 and 6, I've heard differing opinions, but overall, I'm in favor of having, non-gerrymandered districts. So 5 and 6 are going to be covering this portion of it. I don't see any problem with it, and I think 7 was the poison pill to get rid of 5 and 6 or to make 5 and 6 less effective. So I'm definitely, I haven't made up my mind completely about 5 and 6 yet, but I'm feeling really good about it. I mean, I'm still doing a little bit of research, but at the same time, it's not easy to get all the research done right away. But definitely not 4, 7, though. That was something they were putting into kind of lessen 5 and 6.
Right.
And we can't have 100-yard stretches of districts that go from here to Orlando. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Sure.
And, Phil, we were chatting a little bit about before the show about Amendment 9, which was the amendment that was going to be on the ballot that guaranteed free choice of health care here in Florida, and about how that was actually some judges ruled that was not a suitable, the wording of it was not suitable for the ballot. You were mentioning that some of those judges are up for affirmation on this next election, and that there may be some movement around taking some action against those judges in a electoral sense.
Yeah, I didn't bring the names with me. Obviously next show we'll want to put that on there, but I think we need to vote them out of office. If they don't want the people to be able to vote on their health care, then we can vote on their job.
Yeah, absolutely right. And just as we wrap up here, we've got a slide about how people can get involved, Alex, in your campaign. We're going to go ahead and put that up again. Obviously, the website there. We've got a phone number. We've got an email for your campaign manager. We've got the links for the Libertarian Party of Florida, which is the LPF.org, and of course the LP.org. And Phil, why don't you go ahead and give a quick plug about how people can contact you again for your soil and water race?
For me, it's www.laib2010.com. LAIBE is how my name is spelled.
That's absolutely right. And then finally, just to close out the show, our regularly occurring segment about the government abuse of the month. We're going to go ahead and put the overhead up about that. Look, I'm a huge Jacksonville Jaguar fan. I've been a season seat holder since day one. I've been involved in the Team Teal effort, and it's great. That doesn't mean I think that tax dollars ought to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the bottom line is we did finally get a stadium naming rights deal with Everbank. Contractually, our city government is eligible for 25% of that, which accounts for about $4 million over the course of this agreement. And our city council decided to vote to forego those dollars simultaneously while libraries are being closed and while other city services are at threat of being reduced.
And they just raised our taxes.
And they just voted last night to increase the millage rate on the property tax. So that is our government abuse of the month. Alex, thank you so much. We hope to have you back on a future broadcast. Phil, we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Libertarian Perspective. We'll see you Wednesdays at 7 o'clock and other various times on the Comcast Community Access channel. Thank you again for tuning in.
You're watching Local Access, Channel 29.